G'day humans, Chris Stead from Finder here, and we're talking NFT games. In particular, we're talking about Plant vs Undead. Not to be confused with the mobile blockbuster hit Plants vs Zombies, although I think you are supposed to get confused with it, hence the name. Confused? Well, let's fix that. We're going to dive in and take a closer look, learn a thing or two about Plant vs Undead right now. Jeez, I hope I can get through this without calling it Plants vs Zombies one bloody time. So the premise. Now, out there somewhere, there's a place called Planet Plants. Now this planet has been hit by a meteor, and the meteor has brought with it some sort of virus which has turned all of the animal critters on the place into undead, fiercely fanged, horrible, cruel creatures that want to kill all the plants. It's your job to protect the mother tree. You do this by getting all these other plants, which have also earned special abilities by this mysterious meteor, and plant them in a certain place on a battlefield so that they can protect the mother plant, the mother tree, from all these undead creatures which are running across the field trying to devour it. Now, the thing that makes this game different from your normal classic tower defense game is that the plants in this game are, of course, NFTs, which means they should, in theory, increase in real value the more that you play. But do they? Let's find out. So much like its very similarly named spiritual brother Plants vs Zombies, Plant vs Undead is a tower defense game at its heart. This means that it's not so much about moment-to-moment combat or real-time fighting. It's about planting your defenses, setting up traps, setting up your field, and then letting the enemy waltz through it and hoping that your defenses hold. So that is the name of the game here for the most part. Now there's a PvP mode, there's a PvE mode, which is the core game. There's a PvP mode, which is in beta at the moment and it's kind of happening. And there's also a farm mode, which is a bit different from the tower defense side of things. It's more like a farming simulator, but I'll go into that in a little bit more detail in a sec. Visually, it's got a very cartoony aesthetic. It's not poorly done. It's perfectly fine for a mobile title. It's been a bit of effort put in there in terms of the animations and giving everything a kind of cool and unique look, but not particularly special. Sound effects, on the other hand, though, are aggravating as hell, making you want to put a bullet in your brain, but like I said, mobile titles, that's what you kind of get, isn't it? Now, if you're familiar with tower defense games, and in particular Plants vs Zombies, you'll have a pretty good idea about how Plant vs Undead works. At the start of the game, at the start of any given PvE round, you choose your mother tree and you choose up to 8 plants from your collection of plants that you've acquired, each of which obviously have different attacks and also different attack stats and so forth. You have a pool of energy you've got to play with, and you've got to spend that pool of energy to do most of the actions within the game. So that includes deploying a plant into the field of play, moving it once you've deployed it in case you want to move your strategy around a bit, and leveling them up so you can level them up just by spending a bit of that energy and giving them more powerful attacks. This pool depletes quite quickly, but as you kill the undead as they walk into the field and your plants attack, you earn back some of that energy, and then when you earn back that energy, you can then play more of it into the game. Now the waves are continuous, they never stop, you just see how far you can get, or you pull out at a certain point in the PvE experience, and that is how the core game experience works. Where a lot of the fun comes in is then working out how you're going to place your plants next to each other, because there's 9 different elements from memory, and those 9 different elements, if you've got plants of the same element next to each other, they can synergize their attacks in different ways and accentuate their abilities. So there's a lot of fun there, I guess, to be had, just experimenting with where you place your plants. And a lot of the time, as different creatures come in that move at different speeds, you may want to play with your strategy there and move things around in different ways. So that's where the moment-to-moment gameplay becomes its most immersive. And look, I do like the fact that that you can play this game free to play, so to speak. So you can just get 6 non-NFT plants to play with at the start of the game. So you can get in there and muck around, earn some light energy, which you can then convert to the PVU, which is the game's real token, I guess you could say. The token that you can convert for real money anyway. And you can earn the light energy that way, but when you're actually playing the game, you also earn some PVU, which is a percentage drop chance based on what wave you're in as well. So there is a constant sense of reward as you're playing, and like I said, you can start for free with just 6 of your possible 8 plants. They're just very regular plants. They're not NFTs. You can't go and trade them or sell them like you can the other plants, which I'll talk to you about when we get into the tokenomics of this game. Now, as mentioned at the top, the PvP side of things is still in beta. In fact, the whole entire game feels like it's a bit in beta, to be honest. But the PvP is more or less the same experience that you got in the PvE, but there are some slight differences. For starters, the plants that you can take into the PvP experience, into the ranked matches and so forth, are clones of your actual NFTs. So you're not actually going in there and doing anything with your specific NFTs. They stay in the PvE world, getting better and doing their thing, and then you can clone them to take them into PvP battles. So that's one difference. The other difference is that you can actually control the undead. So you've got to, not only do you have to defend against the undead coming at you that's been sent to you from the other player, but you have to send some undead, summon them, send them off to fight the opponent you're playing at the time. So that adds a little bit of extra layer of depth as well, and a bit of extra fun. I've noticed that they've started to do tournaments, or there's a first season of PvP that started at the very end of 2021. So they're starting to get off the ground. But when I went to try and check it out for myself, it was all in beta. It was all full and I couldn't get in. So it's not just a tower defense game. There is a farm mode, which plays a pretty pivotal role in how the actual game experience goes. And the farm mode, they're calling it a farming simulator. It's a little bit more basic than that. But what you do is you go in there, you've got your light energy, which is the in-game currency, so to speak. And then you've got the PVU, which is the token that is traded in and out of the game through Binance and other exchanges like that. So the way that the farming side of it works is that you buy like a plot of land, and on that land you can buy a plot of land, then you can buy pots to put on that plot, and then you can buy saplings and sunflowers that you can then use to harvest more energy, theoretically from the sun, I guess. Harvest more energy to then give you more income to play with in game. On top of that, you have to look after it, so you have to water the plants, you have to protect them from weather events, crows, so you have to watch out for crows coming around, you can buy scarecrows, things like that, and you manage this sort of plot of land. So to start off, you kind of have to invest some cash, so you need some PVU, you need 5 PVU to start your first little block of land and get that going. And then once you're got it going, you can get more saplings, grow further, and eventually you can end up trading saplings for a seed, or you can actually buy a seed outright if you want to pay some cash. Now, seeds are kind of where what it's all about in the farming mode. So the seeds are going to randomly generate you an NFT plant. So this is where the token and everything comes in. So what you do is you grow this seed, you feed it with water and make sure she's got the energy it needs and just bring it to life. And then it comes with a certain light earning ability, so it will earn energy on its own, much more than you'll get from the base plants or the saplings or the sunflowers. You'll get way more energy out of them, and obviously you can use them in the combat to fight. So there's I can't remember them off by hand, I think it's 60% for a common, I think it's 30% for an uncommon, 10% for a rare, 1% for a mythic, 10% for a mother tree. I'm just going to guess that's right from what I remember. But yeah, so you can see how to break down. So there's 4 different rarities there. And so that's kind of the big side of the farming thing and a lot of the fun, I guess, or a lot of the excitement of hatching that seed and seeing what you're going to get and what that means for you. In some of the examples I've seen so far, people have pretty much made back their investment at the very least with the seed that they've got. But obviously there's a chance to get a mythic or something really cool and really make some good coin. This does, however, lead me into my biggest issue with Plant versus Undead. And that's as you get further and further into the economy of the game and how the economics work within the actual game experience, not to mention just with the light energy, but also with the PVU, is that it just relies so heavily on those kind of older mobile microtransaction gaming things that were so derided and hated for so long and have slowly been phased out of our gaming ecosystem and experiences. However, they're right back in here. So you've got like countdowns and timers and all these different kind of economies you've got to manage and pass between so you can do certain things. And there's even loot boxes, seriously. So that sort of things is where I feel like the game's really let itself down. I think it could have done a lot better to innovate and actually do funky cool stuff with the NFT side of things, rather than just applying NFT gaming to these aging and derided monetization strategies that we're seeing in the mobile game development scene. For those of you interested in Plant versus Undead from the play to earn perspective, look, you can get your PVU through Pancake Swap, swapping in and out for Binance tokens. I'll put a link down below so you can learn more about Pancake Swap if you're not aware of it. But obviously the Plant NFTs are your main way. So that's kind of going to be from you planting those seeds, growing them up, seeing what kind of plants you get, and then finding out what value they have, and then either using them to sell or to lend or to actually play in combat to earn more light energy. The light energy that you earn through the game just by playing it can also be converted to PVU, so you can earn some money that way. And when you defeat the waves of the Undead, they will drop a small bit of PVU as well to get it from there. There is a new mechanic they're looking at adding, which is called the World Tree. It's not available at the time that I am saying this. However, this is an opportunity where players in the game can water together, can provide water for a big world tree, and then at certain milestones of that tree's growth, there will be a reward for all the players who have committed some water to the cause. Water, of course, is not free. It costs you light energy though, not PVU. So you have to spend some of your in-game coin to get that water to then donate it to the world tree. So you can see how this kind of loops around, like I said. Very, very mobile game of it. But one of the aspects of the game that I'm really not too fond of is the idea that the plants only have a limited number of uses in any of the given modes before they tap out. Now, this seems to be a little bit counterintuitive to me, because these plants are your valuable item, they're your NFT. They're obviously going to hold some value as a collectible and as NFT, but they're not going to be functional in game from a certain point. So, you know, I guess that balances how often you want to use it from a certain extent, but like for my money, that shouldn't be a case. It should just be something that you've got and you can use in the game moving forward. They want to do it because they want to be able to add new plants down the track and to make the new plants have some sort of value, but in doing so, they're kind of undercutting these early adopters and those people that are already in the game, in my opinion. So I'm not too sure why they've gone with that mechanic. And it also, you would think, limits the ability for guilds and scholars to get involved with the game, because you can only lend out your plant for a certain amount of time before you no longer can anymore. So a bit of a head scratcher there, and I guess that just kind of ties into the various kind of mobile ideas they've got in this game, where you're kind of always buying these limited time resources that you just have to then buy again, which is very grind driving. Both the tower defense and the farm life sim genres are a great fit for NFT games, and when you're kind of lost in the heat of battle here and you don't have to worry about the economics or the timers, there's a fun enough mobile game here that you can lose yourself in. But for my money, the game kind of shoots itself in the foot by just relying too heavily on old, aging monetization strategies in mobile games and not innovating enough. I mean, let's face it, they couldn't even come up with a decent name for the game. They had to steal it basically off someone else. Perhaps that's why its price has dropped so much. From August 2021 to December 2021, the price dropped from one PVU token from $25 US to 25 cents US. So that's a heck of a drop. But I'm not sure so much the game mechanics is a fault for that as it is the developers' poor communication. Look, the English isn't so great, at least the way it's written in the white papers and so forth isn't very well done. And also the owners or the developers have been dumping a hell of a lot of PVU, which certainly isn't going to help. But that does mean that if you want to get in while the game's cheap and just try it out and just hope that they come good with their upcoming rule changes and updates, then there's definitely an opportunity for you, because the price right now is probably as good as it's going to get moving forward. I'm Chris Stead from Finder. That was my thoughts on Plant versus Undead. You can go over to the finder.com.au website to check out my written review on it all. Otherwise, like, share, subscribe, and happy gaming.